So hi there, this is Chris, and I'm going to try to share with you some power and a source of power. And in doing so, I'm going to talk about a chapter in my life that was on a specific day, actually, and the repercussions from that day that are singular and probably the most defining day in my life, apart after being born. And that was the death of my son, Alexander. And the reason I'm doing this is not to be sentimental or to, do anything that is less than helpful for you. And specifically, I want to tell you how I got through that, and I think why I got through it, because I think it could be valuable to you. First of all, I'll tell you that I've made videos before, not many, probably one or two, where I was looking at my phone, talking about the emotion of that day, and I break down in the video, and it's powerful, in some ways, but I want to try to communicate to you in a different way by letting you know, as I've been thinking about it over many, many years, because this happened in 2011, which is 12 years ago. I've had a lot of time to think about it and to digest the experience. I think what got me through was a combination of things. I was more religious in those days, and that day I did feel, and I remember the feeling, that God, whatever you may believe God is, personally, it felt that God never left me, even though when we were losing our child right in front of our eyes, my wife and I never felt that God had left me, which was quite unexpected. I didn't know what to think. No one knows what to think when something like that is happening. So I think I'm mentioning that to acknowledge the fact that it wasn't just me who got myself through this. It was no doubt forces that I do not know about that were there. But I do remember a presence, even in the midst of the horror and terror of living through a nightmare, in which I felt a sense of a presence, that I wasn't completely alone, and somehow, not that I could get through it. That wasn't the feeling, because that was one of the most terrifying feelings of not knowing where this ends, what's going to happen to me now that something like this is happening. And then another thing, as I look back, obviously the strength of my relationship with my wife, Sharon, that was very important, and her character. She was heroic, and I looked up to that, and I wanted to make sure I matched that. And I also wanted to make sure that my surviving son, Max, would survive. So that's where some of the strength and some of the determination to not let such a tragic event crush me came from. And then here's something else that I think is true, and that is that I started reading. I've always loved books, and in my 20s I started reading the lives of great men like Winston Churchill, and I read like every book I could find on him, and then other books about like the founder of CBS and all of these people who had accomplished, I don't know if it's hundreds, but it's definitely like dozens and dozens of books. Anyway, I say that because I think that their stories of fortitude and destiny actually made me think that this cannot be. I cannot respond to this in a way that I fall apart. That is not going to be my response to this, even though it was nothing like anything I would have anticipated happening in my life. And so I say all these things to let you know that there will be trauma if there hasn't already been in your life. There will be pain and death and suffering and loneliness and feelings of abandonment. All of that, you will feel this. You have felt this probably already, but you can get through it. You probably know that, and I'm just saying it to reaffirm that belief already that you have, that you can get through it, and that you are not alone in all of your pain. And that was something quite comforting to me, because when we lost our son, one of the things, the strange emotions that I noticed feeling was this sense that I was now alone and apart from the tribe of normal people who don't lose their child. But then I found out that there was loss all around me. I remember the trash driver, within the next few days of our loss, telling me, because my heart was basically ripped open, right? My chest, it felt like my chest, the next days and weeks, my chest was open, right? And so I would be communicating in ways that I don't normally communicate. And one time it was to the guy who picks up the trash on our street on Eureka, and he told me about losing his daughter, who was 21. And so I say that to remind you that loss is all around you. Loss is a part of our lives, and we can get through it. And I think that's all I'll say for now. Thanks for listening. Bye.